Today on Larry King Now, Kelly Osbourne fills in for me, interviewing phenom Hozier on his controversial debut album.
Still harbours irrational aversion to homosexuality, which, in my view, and I think that's why I was kind of driven to write "Take Me to Church." I think that provides a justification for homophobia, however passive or however latent or under the surface. But
on a timeline for new music.
I'm writing all the time as much as possible.
Plus,
wildest fan encounter.
Wildest fan encounter.
Please don't say me.
No.
Please don't.
Oh man.
Welcome to Larry King Now. I'm Kelly Osbourne, and I'm so honored to be filling in for my dear friend Larry. I'm also honored to be here with Hozier, the uniquely talented, Grammy-nominated singer and instrumentalist, and one of the most acclaimed new artists in music today. I like that word. Yeah. Instrumentalist. How many instruments do you play?
Maybe three instruments poorly. Yeah.
I bet it's like 10, but because it's not amazing that you say it's 3.
That's all right. I play guitar okay, and I'm pretty bad at piano. And then I used to play harmonica a bit. So instrumentalist is a generous term for it. But,
I can play the finger bells and the tambourine, so you've got a lot more of me. So congratulations. I have to congratulate you first off on your American Music Awards nomination.
Thank you.
For is it favorite alternative?
I think so. Yeah.
Rock artist.
Yeah, alternative rock artist. Yeah, which is great. I'm thrilled. Yeah.
It must be amazing.
Yeah, surprised, but very happy.
Now my second question: is this the first long on-camera interview you've done in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Sitting across from somebody as a proper chat,
As if I didn't have big enough shoes to fill already.
It's all good, man. No, it's great. But I think it is. I think it's definitely the first kind of proper sit-down chat with somebody, yeah.
Does this stuff usually make you uncomfortable? No,
not too. I'm probably not the best at talking about myself, but no, not uncomfortable at all, no.
Now, in the last 2 years since you debuted Take Me to Church, which between Spotify and YouTube alone has been listened to by more than 800 million people.
Jesus, yeah.
Or million times, I should say.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Some days I register with it, and some days I don't really register with it. It's a remarkable figure, and I think the greater you get into numbers like that, it becomes more of an abstract kind of thing. It's hard to even think about that. But I'm thrilled. I feel very fortunate that the song kind of took off the way it did. People connected with it. Yeah.
I know that when you were writing, you write songs because you love music, but when you were writing this album, did you ever think that it would reach something this massive?
No, no, at all. I used to joke with Rob Kieran, the producer. We used to kind of sit. We'd usually he has like a joke when you'd finish a song. He goes, "I'll just email that straight to the charts." As if he just, what number will we pick for this one? I didn't think that Take Me to Church would work on radio just at the time, or it would be a radio kind of song, or it would be the song that I think it became.
You speak about having an audience, and usually, different people like different music, and it's defined by genres. I can't quite figure out what you are defined as. What would you think?
I don't know. I've kind of heard.
Because you're nominated for American Music Award for Alternative Rock, and to me, just my opinion, I feel it's more than that.
It's hard to peg a lot of music into 2-word kind of phrases, or and it's done for the ease of kind of well, this is this, especially in marketing and stuff. But I don't know. I think any artist would find trouble kind of putting a name on what they do, but there's a lot of elements of blues in it, and there's just classic rock and roll as well. But then things like gospel and those would be the biggest influences. I think they kind of shine through here and there.
Okay, when you're looking at the Billboard Top 100 as it is right now, over the last few years, the majority of top 10, even just within the top 5, is pop, hip hop, rap, R&B. How do you explain your success in this way? Because in my opinion, I think that people were hungry for something new.
I don't know. I'm still trying to make sense of it, and I think a lot of things happened the right way, and happened a lot of things that I couldn't control happened in a fantastic way, and there might be an element of that. I mean, definitely the song kind of sticks out and was something that was different and something that sounded different and lyrically was very different, I guess. But I think a huge part of its success was kind of with new media and it being shared online and things like it was shared a lot through streaming services and things like YouTube. And I think in that way the song got as quickly over to America in the same speed as it would have my next door neighbour, you know. And I think I was very lucky in that regard and for what it connected. And
right time, right place.
Exactly, yeah.
When you have so much public attention behind you and you've created such a masterpiece that is a hit worldwide and somehow manages to cross all boundaries of music to where everyone has heard it, do you feel the pressure to come back with something even better, or do you feel as though you're going to just do what you do?
There is that pressure there, I think, too, and especially from a business point of view, there's that you know, you want to be able to meet or match what you did previously. I didn't think that I would have a commercial success, and so all I did the first time around was trust my gut, and I'd like to do that again, I think, with the next album. But also I think if I was to start making music with the sole intent of being a commercial success, I think that drifts away from why I started making music in the first place. So.
And I think that opinion is why so many people love you so much.
That's all good.
Up next, when can we expect new music from Hozier? And as a vocal critic of the Catholic Church in the past, what does he think of the very popular new Pope? Stay with us here. I really want to talk about your Take Me to Church music video because there's so many things about it that I don't think people realise. It was a music video that cost 1,500 euros, correct?
Yeah, I think it was a real shoestring budget. Yeah, I think 1,500 sounds about right, yeah.
And by watching it, nobody would ever know. I mean, that looks like a very, very, very expensive, costly music video, but it sends such a beautiful message that allows people to kind of create their own opinion over what's in that box or what's really going on. Was that your intention?
I think we wanted to keep something ambiguous, and so, you know, like any piece of work, like the audience finishes it, you know, but definitely we wanted something there that was kind of for the audience to think about.
One of the messages in it that is very clear that is that you were addressing what's going on in Russia with the LGBT community, and it seems as though that sent a very big message to the world that we are watching. Do you think that it's changed anything for people in Russia?
I'll be honest, I don't think all that much has changed. It's very hard to get a gauge on kind of societal mentality or cultural mentality as well. Also, media is state-owned in Russia too, and so I'm not sure. I would like to hope that I think there's slowly it's moving back towards, you know, something a bit more progressive, but I'm not sure.
I mean, we can only pray.
Yeah. Well,
you know, specifically, I can see that you're very into supporting gay rights. Why is that such an important issue for you?
For me, I saw it as a human rights thing and a very kind of cut and dry human rights issue. And I'm not sure what it was that there was an organisation called allout.org which and things like Human Rights Watch, which were kind of documenting a very slow descent in Russia into institutionalized homophobia on a extreme scale, and I think I just had been following that, and why there's kind of a latent or an accepted kind of passive homophobia that is kind of throughout your own society, and I don't know.
Unacceptable becomes acceptable just by human nature rather than by what's right and what's wrong.
You kind of see in a cultural mentality, or just there is an accepted sense of othering another group of people. So in this case, you know, homophobia or whatever. But I you know, especially growing up in school or high school, you're kind of, you know, for me it didn't sit right, increasingly so. And then after following what was going on in Russia, I think we had an opportunity to kind of shed some light on that. And It's what was frightening about Russia is that it's not that far from home. You know
Nope.
what I mean? Especially if you're in Europe, and
Yes.
and cultures like that cross borders, and they have done in the past. This kind of scapegoating of and othering of one group in society, and that has happened before in the past in Europe not that long ago. And
Not to get too deep, but we're watching it with a whole other group of people as well right now. And it's something I really want to hit on, in the fact that it always blows my mind that Ireland was one of the last countries to legalize divorce, but the first country to legalize gay marriage.
Yeah.
Which is such a oxymoron. It doesn't quite make sense to me how...
I'm very proud of that the nation kind of stood up, and it was a landslide. Last year it was a 70% in favour of legalising gay marriage. But it is true, divorce law, contraception, it was even down to homosexual acts being illegal, I think, up until maybe the 70s or 80s.
I think it still went into the 80s.
Yeah. How quickly that turned around, I think, was the difference, I suppose, the difference between the Ireland that my generation grew up in and the Ireland that my parents or my parents grew up in.
Very different.
Very, very different. And I think the influence of the church as well has shifted a lot. So less so for my generation. And I think people are kind of pulling the wool from their eyes a little bit.
When you think about only just when I was in school, even parts of Ireland that you couldn't go to that now you can, and how quickly that perception changed, almost as if it was overnight. And I think it shows a great example of how when people come together, I know that Ireland is a smaller country, but when people come together and they stand up for what they believe in, how change really can happen.
Yeah.
And I think just my opinion, is that what you try to convey in your music?
I think if nothing else, say with something like Take Me to Church, if only to get people talking about it, and I think that's always the first kind of challenges. I think people can come together and want to, and I think there is goodwill there. But I think people need to be aware of it and need to talk about it first before change can happen.
Because I mean, you've seen how popular the Pope has been in this country surrounding, his first visit and his progressive views on climate change and immigration, etc. But he's still publicly against gay marriage. He says it's okay to be gay, but you can't get married. Yeah.
This is, again, one of the kind of odd kind of paradoxes and weird kind of hypocrisies of that organisation. I think is, and he did, and I've been asked that a lot as well too. He came out last year and said, "Who am I to judge with regards to somebody's sexual orientation?" But I mean, I think it's important to differentiate between lip service towards something and actually making change. And I think it's hopeful, but I still think even saying that in 2015, like, who am I to judge, is something that you should be saying 100 years ago, rather than it's only really catching up. It's something that had never been said at all, really, is what I should say. But I think, it's so it's funny. I think there's a difference. I think when actual doctrine change and policy changes, but it's still undeniably an organisation that has institutionalised an aversion to homosexuality, or and an irrational one too. And so it's one that has institutionalised gender inequality also. Dangerous policy over contraception, and in this case, it still harbours irrational aversion to homosexuality, which, in my view, and I think that's why I was kind of driven to write Take Me to Church. I think that provides a justification for homophobia, however passive or however latent or under the surface. But
it's amazing. You really think about things full circle. Not very many people do that anymore.
I don't know about that. No, I don't know about that. But.
Coming up, what is Hozier's favourite city to perform in, and who does he dream of collaborating with? And we will play the game of If Only You Knew. You better stick around. Okay, I didn't get to this in the last segment, and I have to ask, when can we expect new music from you?
I'm writing all the time, as much as possible. I try to keep a guitar with me, but I will be on the road until March of next year, and So I find that the days are busy, so it's hard to get meaningful work done. But ideas are coming all the time. But I think when March comes around, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to disappear, live in outer space for a while, and then I will. I'll come back and I don't know. I'll take a few months out. But I'm eager to make new music. I think I'm hungry to do that. And
it's a bit hard to be in a creative headspace when you're waking up in a different country every single day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now I am going to ask you some really fun questions because we've been a bit serious. Okay, it's time to play. If you only knew.
Let's do it.
Okay. Who was your first kiss?
Who was my first kiss?
Stop cheating, don't look at them. I can see you.
I remember. Yeah. Do I have to answer?
You don't have to.
It's a girl. I think I was quite old. I remember.
How old is old?
I don't know how old is old. I think I was 16 when I had my first.
Well, that's normal.
Is that normal enough? Was it 16?
Well, especially like I come from a really small village in England. You come from a very small village in Ireland.
Yeah,
it's not like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
It's not like there's lots of fish in that sea.
Yeah, you have to find a girl first. You're wandering the countryside for days, and then you have to start the courting thing, and it's just an awful thing. Yeah, No, I was 16. I remember. I think her name was Kira. She was very.
Didn't
sweet.
think you were going to give a name.
Oh God, no!
No, I'm just
Maybe
teasing.
we'll cut that. Maybe we'll edit that. Sorry, Kira.
Her name was
Her name was
something else.
Yeah.
Like if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
It would be. I would teleport. I've given it much thought. I would teleport.
Where would you teleport to first?
I would teleport home probably.
I'm so glad you said that because that's where I would go first too.
It's like, and touring and traveling. You could be in China. You could do a tour and sleep in your own bed every night, or you could go to China, be back for 2 minutes. I just yeah.
We're probably
definitely.
not far away from that if you really think about it.
Yeah, true. You never know.
Okay. What's your favourite city to perform in?
I've been very, very fortunate to. Going home is always amazing. So playing in Dublin is always incredible. But I think my first show ever
Dublin's my favourite place to perform. People just have so much fun, and everyone's there just have a good time.
Yeah, they're just mentlers. Like everyone's just great. Everyone's up for the crack. Like so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's no place like Ireland, that's for sure.
Yeah. New York was very good to me too, and LA were the first places I ever played shows in America. So my heart is kind of here too, I have to say.
Okay, what's your favourite song of your own?
Oh wow. I don't know. I was very proud to take me to church, and if nothing else, I was proud of kind of that it people connected with it in the way that they did. I was so taken aback, but I think there's a song called "To Be Alone." I very much I've always liked, and like real people do for some reason. I quite like that song.
Both. I mean, that album is amazing. I just have to say.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, what is your favourite song of all time?
Wow. That's very, very hard. I don't have one. I don't have one song. But I think there's some music by Nina Simone that I has always kind of stayed with me in a kind of a great kind of haunting way. But there is, and Billie Holiday as well. But a recording called Sinner Man by Nina Simone, and all 8 minutes, 10 minutes of that recording is just fire. It's
I
just
know
amazing.
the song.
Yeah.
I have it on vinyl.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It really is. Okay, what is your biggest pet peeve?
I have many. Oh no, I don't really. I think people who walk slowly in when you're in pedestrian traffic. that breaks my heart.
I know what you're talking about. Or they just stop and you're like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that just breaks my heart.
Okay, if anyone wants to know, his biggest pet peeve is don't walk slow.
If you're walking in front of me, just please be quick.
Hurry it up. Well, you are very tall, so you've got a bigger leg stride than everyone else.
And I can't begrudge people because I'm freakishly tall. I can't.
Okay, what is your favourite thing about Ireland?
There's a lot. I think I would have to say the humour of people, and just the people are great, but I think the kind of sense of humour that comes with Irish people, and also a sense of humour of there's just like, I think it's been said, like Irish people have a fantastic disrespect for everything. So just making fun of everything and laughing at everything, and that's even the worst possible tragedies are laughed at, along with everything else. So I appreciate that about the kind of the Irish spirit.
Definitely. And there was a definite brotherhood there as well. Yeah,
there's definitely, and you notice it more and more that when you're away from Ireland and you meet Irish people,
Okay, what artist would you most like to collaborate with?
That's a tough one. I think Tom Waits was one of the artists that kind of, I wouldn't be a musician if I didn't discover his music. Maybe, I don't know. I can't say that, but definitely as a singer-songwriter, I think his body of work fascinated me as a teenager, and he just kind of changed the way I thought about music. And so yeah, I think Tom Waits is always a big hero of mine. But there's too many I could mention. I could give you a list for days.
Okay, I have two more really quick.
Right.
Wildest fan encounter.
Wildest fan encounter.
Please don't say me.
No.
Please don't.
Oh man. No. Okay. Well, this one time, this person will remain nameless. Like, FaceTimed me, gave me a. No, I'm joking. Don't worry.
It was me. Never mind.
No, I think I was given a noose once by a fan.
What?
And it was a joke. And this again, I can only appreciate the joke, like, because it had a great kind of like
That's
real.
better than the colostomy bag that got given to my father. I mean,
No.
like, wow.
A colostomy. Oh, that's amazing.
And they slapped it down on the table and asked him to sign it, and we were all just like...
Was it full?
Well, I just didn't take a good enough look, but because it was removed very quickly. But yes,
Oh my God.
a noose. Okay.
That's a noose. It was kind of. It came in a little box that said "Loser Be Gone" on it, and it was it was like they stuck around, and I met them, and they
That's
gave me
really
this noose.
sweet.
It was very sweet, and again, it's I suppose it's gallows humor at its purest there, but it was. Yeah, it was like some, I think, self-esteem augmentation kit. Like, you know,
A self-esteem augmentation kit
Yeah.
with a noose.
yeah. I think that was the kind of. I thought it was very funny.
And final, really quick question: do you have any secret talents?
Do I have any secret talents? I wish. No, I don't know. I'm an alright cook. I think that's my next. I really want to. My mom was just great kind of cook, and I'd love to be better at it. But I don't know, little things. My life has just been music now. The last 2 years, I kind of forgot the other things I did.
Just by the way you say that, I can tell that makes you very happy. Next, we'll dig deeper into Hozier's music and wrap things up with some fan questions from social media. Don't click away. Do you think you'll be featured on any other artist albums in the near future?
I don't know. I think there has some offers for like collaborations, and they have come in. The greatest obstacle is time. The greatest obstacle is just not being physically able to commit to writing and recording with other artists. I would love to. I love there's so many artists that I'd love to collaborate with and work with, but. You know, every day is accounted for, every hour is accounted for up until March, really. So it's tricky, but you never know. I would love to look into it maybe when there's more time, definitely.
I always feel like that is always one of them awkward, like, do I know you, do I not know you? And then when you get down to it and you're in the same room and you're working together, it could go really wrong if you don't get them and they don't get you.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I haven't experienced that, but thank you for putting the fear of God into me.
You're so welcome. I'm glad that I gave you that gift. Okay, this is something I've noticed just from being English and not necessarily a big hit maker, but it feels like the young British hit makers all over the world are like a really tight clan.
Yes.
Do you have relationships with any of the legends like Paul McCartney or Mick Jagger or Elton John?
I would love to say yes, but I can't really. I think I kind of came out of nowhere in last year or the year before. So I was an outsider to the Irish music scene and Irish singer-songwriters, and even on a kind of a ground level, guys who were I was doing kind of supports and open mic nights here and there, but I wasn't. I think when I released Take Me to Church, most people in Ireland thought that I was an act from America or the UK. So I kind of, and then everything just kind of went from kind of 0 to 90, and you're kind of on tour since. So I haven't had a chance to really to meet. There's a few kind of great musicians you cross paths with touring and festivals and stuff like that.
You end up becoming friends with just because you're always together.
Exactly, yeah, you see each other, and I suppose when there's few people you can kind of sit down and talk to. My life, your life is mental too. It's as crazy as mine. It's like, yeah, it's nice to meet somebody in a similar position. and just chat and relax and unwind. But not quite. But
I find myself just talking about home comforts like food,
Yeah.
like magazines and newspapers that you just don't get here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Tea bags and yeah, exactly.
PG tips,
exactly.
and all sorts of weirdness like that most people are like, what are you even speaking about?
Yeah.
Are you ready to answer some fan questions from social media?
Absolutely.
Okay, our first one is from Heather.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like headlining concerts over performers you once opened for?
I think. Do you mean like how you?
I think that what she's trying to say is it
now headlining kind of
versus opening?
Yeah, versus open. It's amazing. I think that definitely it's that you have to kind of pinch yourself, and I suppose everyone has this feeling in some way, shape, or form. But you're like, how did I get to this point? And there's a moment where you accuse yourself of charlatanry when you're kind of like, wow, I don't know, you know, and you kind of you ask yourself how have I managed this? And you're kind of just taken aback by it. But it's just amazing. Yeah, I think it's a lot of it. I failed to register with me yet, just because it's I'm so busy. But it's a very
waft of hot air that's like, I'm not worthy. I don't even know if I can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you're very, I don't know. It's very humbling then as well too, when you're meeting other musicians. And I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, this one's really sweet. Jenna Tomlinson on Facebook asked, "Will you marry me?"
Yeah. No. I'm washing my hair that day.
Oh, that's the best response I've ever heard.
All potential wedding days. Sorry, Jenna. I'm sure she's lovely, but I just don't like you in that way. We're such good friends, me and Jenna, and I just don't want to ruin that.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin the friendship. Don't ever cross that line.
Exactly.
It's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is also from the Larry King Now blog. It's from JSFALVEY 16. What's your favourite Irish traditional song growing up?
Yikes. Growing up, I wasn't exactly in a trad family. I would have known like a few traditionals, like She Moves Through the Fair and stuff like that. But I think as I grew older, I gained a bigger appreciation. There's a song called My Laggin' Love, which I think is one of my favorites, and it's just a beautiful melody, but also there's such sadness to a lot of them as well, and like a lot of kind of nationalistic sentiment was coded in song, because there was a time when you couldn't.
It was the only way that you could get it out.
You could actually say, yeah, you could do it, which is funny. But there's one called My Laggin' Love, which I think is beautiful. It's one of my favorites.
So if you guys don't know that, check it out. I would like to thank you so much, Hozier, for taking the time to come in and speak with me, and also to Mr. Larry King. Do yourselves a favour, if you have not already got this album, go out and get it. It's one of the best in the last 2 years, I have to admit. Many thanks again to Larry for asking me to take his chair for today. It was very scary. I hope I did you justice. Bye, everyone.